Hi preschoolers. I am going to read you this book, and it's very long. It's a chapter book, so I won't read it all in one video, but I will read 2 chapters in the video right now, and then I'll do 4 more videos. So I won't put them all up at once. You can listen to the first 2 chapters, and then on the next day I will post 2 more chapters. Do you understand? Okay, it's called Ivy and Bean, and it is the first book in the Ivy and Bean series, and I think there are 10. So I think you're going to like it. It's very funny. It's by an author called Annie Barrows. Here's a picture of all the ones that were written but when this book was published, but I think there are now 10. And because it's a chapter book, it doesn't have as many pictures, but I will show you the pictures that it does have. The first chapter is called No Thanks. Before Bean met Ivy, she didn't like her. Bean's mother was always saying that Bean should try playing with the new girl across the street, but Bean didn't want to. "She's 7 years old, just like you," said her mother, "and she seems like such a nice girl. You could be friends." So there's Bean. "I already have friends," said Bean. And that was true. Bean did have a lot of friends. But really, she didn't want to play with Ivy because her mother was right. Ivy did seem like such a nice girl. Even from across the street, she looked nice. But nice, Bean knew, is another word for boring. Ivy sat nicely on her front steps. Bean zipped around her yard and yelled. Ivy had long, curly red hair pushed back with a sparkly headband. Bean's hair was black, and it only came to her chin because it got tangled if it was any longer. When Bean put on a headband, it fell off. Ivy wore a dress every day. Bean wore a dress when her mother made her. Ivy was always reading a big book. Bean never read big books. Reading made her jumpy. Bean was sure that Ivy never stomped in puddles. She was sure that Ivy never smashed rocks to find gold. So here's a picture of Ivy. And here is a picture of Bean. They're both doing the same thing. They're both reading a book, but they're doing it very differently. And Bean has never talked to Ivy, but she's sure she won't like her. Have you ever felt that way about somebody you didn't know? She was sure that Ivy had never once in her whole life climbed a tree and fallen out. Bean got bored just looking at her. So when her mother said she should play with Ivy, Bean just shook her head. "No, thanks," she said. "You could give it a try. You might like her," said Bean's mom. "All aboard! Next train for Boring is leaving now," yelled Bean. Her mother frowned. "That's not very nice, Bean." "I was nice. I just said no thanks," said Bean. "I just don't want to, okay?" Okay, her mother sighed. "Have it your way." So for weeks and weeks, Bean didn't play with Ivy. But one day, something happened that changed her mind. Here she is when her mom is trying to tell her that she should play with Bean. She's saying, "Oh, boring." The next chapter is called Bean Hatches a Plan. Who do you think that is? Bet we'll find out. It all began because Bean was playing tricks on her older sister. Bean's older sister was named Nancy. She was 11. Nancy thought Bean was a pain and a pest. Bean thought Nancy was a boogerhead. Ever since she turned 11, Nancy had been acting like she was Bean's mother. She ordered Bean around in a grown-up voice. "Comb your hair. No more pretzels. Brush your teeth. Say please." I think that's what she's doing right there. How does Bean feel about being ordered around by her sister? Bean's mother said that Nancy was going through a stage. Bean knew what that meant. That meant Nancy was bossy. Bean also knew that nobody likes bossy kids, so she was trying to help Nancy be done with her stage. Here's how she helped. She bugged Nancy until Nancy freaked out. Bean thought this was pretty helpful. The afternoon that Bean got her great idea, she was shopping with her mom and Nancy. So here she is bugging Nancy. What is she doing? She's dropping a spider down while she's on the phone. Actually, Bean was being dragged along by her mom and Nancy. Bean hated shopping. Nancy loved it. Nancy was trying on skirts, lots of skirts. She put on a purple skirt. She looked at her front in the mirror. Then she turned to the side. Then she turned around and tried to look at her behind. "Looks good," said Bean. "Let's go." "Be patient just a little longer, Bean," said Bean's mother. "I think it's cute, honey," she said to Nancy. Nancy looked in the mirror some more. "Do you think the pockets are dumb?" "I like the pockets," said Bean's mom. Get it, get it, get it, moaned Bean. She had never been so bored in her entire life. She was so bored she fell on the floor, and then she took a tiny peek up at the lady in the dressing room next door. Yow! Get up, Bean, said her mother, this minute. Bean got up and sat on the triangle seat again. She waited. Nancy looked at herself. I kind of like it, Nancy said, but it costs $40. That's all my money. I could get 2 shirts for $40. Don't be a tightwad, said Bean. She had just learned that word. It meant someone who didn't like to spend money. Here they are in the dressing room. Bean looks very bored while her sister is trying on those skirts. Don't call your sister a tightwad, said Bean's mom. Bean saw Nancy's eyes looking at her in the mirror. Can you see them? Tightwad, Bean mouthed without any sound. Nancy's eyes got narrow and so quick that her mother didn't see. She stuck out her tongue. You do it really quick? Then Nancy turned to their mother and said, I think the skirt costs too much, Mom. I think I'd rather try on some tops. Bean knew that Nancy was being slow on purpose just to drive her crazy. Bean thought about kicking her in the shin, but then she got the good idea. It was a great idea. It was also a helpful idea, one that would teach Nancy not to be such a tightwad. And best of all, her idea would make Nancy freak out. You'll be sorry, Bean mouthed to Nancy. And that's the end of chapter 2. I'll post a video of the next 2 chapters tomorrow. Bye.